Welcome to this deep dive. Today we're looking closely at lease agreements and tenant defaults here in South Africa.
Indeed. And specifically, we're focusing on the legal framework, drawing from our source materials.
Yes, and we'll be referencing the Prevention of Illegal Eviction from and Unlawful Occupation of Land Act. We'll refer to it as the Act from now on.
Good plan. It simplifies things.
Our goal is really to clarify the key points for anyone involved, landlords or tenants.
And the starting point, as our sources highlight, is always the lease agreement itself. A solid agreement is fundamental.
It lays out the groundwork, doesn't it? Prevents problems later on.
Precisely. It clearly defines the rights and, importantly, the responsibilities of both parties.
So diving into the specifics from the text, what are the absolute must-haves in those clauses?
Well, the sources are quite clear, specifying the rental amount, for one, and the exact due date.
Seems basic, but crucial for avoiding payment misunderstandings.
Absolutely. And then there's the landlord side. A major obligation is providing a habitable property.
Meaning safe, fit for purpose.
Exactly. It has to be safe and suitable.
Right.
This is really about safeguarding the tenant's basic rights to a decent home.
Right. And flipping that coin, what about the tenant's core responsibilities mentioned in the sources?
The text points to two main ones. Paying the rent on time, obviously, and maintaining the property.
Keeping it in a reasonable condition.
Yes, just maintaining the premises adequately. It's about mutual respect and upholding their end of the agreement.
Okay. Now, let's consider when things don't go to plan. Say, a tenant defaults, maybe fails to pay rent. What's the initial step according to our sources?
Typically, the process starts with formal communication. The material mentions a letter of demand.
A formal warning, essentially.
Yes, it's a formal notice telling the tenant they're in arrears and need to settle the outstanding amount.
And if that letter doesn't lead to a resolution, what legal options does the landlord have then, based on the text?
If the default continues, the landlord can take further legal steps. Our sources mention a rent summons.
Going through the courts to recover the unpaid rent.
Correct. Or, in more serious situations, they might start eviction proceedings to get the property back.
So the texts show these are established legal remedies for landlords.
They do, while also reinforcing that fundamental tenant obligation: pay the rent.
Which brings us to eviction itself. The source material is very firm on this. Landlords can't just evict someone, can they?
Absolutely not. The text strongly emphasizes that eviction is a final measure, a last resort, and it's strictly controlled by the Act.
The Prevention of Illegal Eviction from and Unlawful Occupation of Land Act.
That's the one. The Act specifically forbids landlords from forcibly removing tenants without getting a court order first.
That sounds like a vital protection for tenants.
It is a very important legal safeguard. It ensures there's due process.
But the sources also acknowledge the landlord's position, right?
Yes, they do. While tenant rights are protected, the material also points out that not paying rent is a valid legal reason for a landlord to start the eviction process through the courts.
So it shows that balance, again, rights alongside responsibilities.
Precisely. The lease agreement works both ways.
Okay, so to quickly summarize what we've covered in this deep dive, the importance of clear lease agreements.
Setting out those mutual expectations clearly.
Then the consequences if a tenant defaults, and the legal steps landlords can take.
Including the letter of demand, rent summons, and ultimately eviction proceedings.
And finally, the critical role of the Act in governing those eviction processes, ensuring they are lawful.
That's right. Understanding these elements is key.
It helps prevent disputes in the first place.
Indeed. And it promotes rental relationships that are based on fairness and the law, which benefits everyone involved. Perhaps something to consider is how these legal frameworks shape the broader rental market landscape and tenant security in South Africa today.